You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's budget session begins with the address of President Draupadi Murmu. Finance Minister presents the interim budget will present the interim budget for the fiscal year 24-25 on Thursday. India's PM Modi says this interim budget is festival of women empowerment. Three-phase Gaza ceasefire proposal released. Israeli PM Netanyahu asserts won't end this war short of achieving all objectives.
We will not end this war short of achieving all of its objectives.
Joe Biden says he has decided U.S. response to Jordan attack. Pentagon says 4 attacks against U.S. forces in the region since January 28th drone attack. In Under-19 Cricket World Cup, India decimates New Zealand by 214 runs in the first Super 6 game at Bloemfontein. And on to the details now. The budget session commenced on Wednesday with India's President Draupadi Murmu's address to a joint sitting of both the Houses of Parliament. President entered the House with the Singol being carried in front of her. She was followed by Speaker Om Birla, Upper House Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. President Murmu in address said the new Parliament building has been constructed during the beginning of the Amrit Kal and it has the essence of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat.
माननीय सदस्यों, अमृत काल की शुरुआत में ये भव्य भवन बना है। यहाँ एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत की महक भी है। भारत की सभ्यता और संस्कृति की चेतना भी है। इसमें हमारी लोकतांत्रिक और संसदीय परंपराओं के सम्मान का प्रण भी है। साथ ही 21वीं सदी के नए भारत के लिए नई परंपराओं के निर्माण का संकल्प भी है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि इस नए भवन में नीतियों पर सार्थक संवाद होगा।
Well, President Draupadi Murmu said that building of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya has been a dream of centuries and that it is now a reality.
कोई भी राष्ट्र तेज गति से तभी आगे बढ़ सकता है जब वो पुराने चुनौतियों का पूरा परास्त करते हुए अपने ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा ऊर्जा भविष्य निर्माण में लगाए। पिछले 10 वर्षों में भारत ने राष्ट्र हित में ऐसे अनेक कार्यों को पूरा होते हुए देखा है जिनका इंतजार देश के लोगों को दशकों से था। राम मंदिर के निर्माण की आकांक्षा सदियों से थी, आज ये सोच हो चुका है।
President Draupadi Murmu further highlighted the achievements of the Narendra Modi-led government in the past 10 years and said poverty was being alleviated on a large scale.
हमें सभी बचपन से गरीबी हटाओ के नारे सुनते आ रहे हैं। अब हम जीवन में पहली बार बड़े पैमाने पर गरीबी को दूर होने देख रहे हैं। नीति आयोग के अनुसार मेरी सरकार के एक दशक के कार्यकाल में करीब 25 करोड़ देशवासी गरीबी से बाहर निकले हैं। ये है प्रत्येक गरीब में नया विश्वास जगाने वाली बात है। जो 25 करोड़ लोगों की गरीबी दूर हो सकती है तो उसकी भी गरीबी दूर हो सकती है।
Well, ahead of the budget session of Indian Parliament, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his customary address to media persons, said that President Murmu's address to joint sitting and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's presenting the interim budget are festivals of women empowerment.
गत 10 वर्ष में जिसको जो रास्ता सूझा उस प्रकार से संसद में सबने अपना अपना कार्य किया। लेकिन मैं इतना जरूर कहूंगा कि जिनको आदतन हुड़दंग करने का स्वभाव बन गया है, जो आदतन लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों का चीरहरण करते हैं, ऐसे सभी माननीय सांसद आज जब आखिरी सत्र में मिल रहे हैं तब जरूर आत्मनिरीक्षण करेंगे कि 10 साल में उन्होंने जो किया। अपने संसदीय क्षेत्र में भी 100 लोगों को पूछ ले, किसी को याद नहीं होगा, किसी को नाम भी पता नहीं होगा जिन्होंने इतना हुड़दंग हो हल्ला किया होगा। लेकिन विरोध का स्वर तीखा क्यों ना हो, आलोचना तीखी से तीखी क्यों ना हो, लेकिन जिसने सदन में उत्तम विचारों से सदन को लाभान्वित किया होगा, उनको बहुत बड़ा वर्ग आज भी याद करता होगा।
Also, Prime Minister said that the budget session was an opportunity for repentance and to leave a positive footprint, and asked all MPs to do their best.
आज बजट सत्र का आरंभ हो रहा है, तब राष्ट्रपति द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी का मार्गदर्शन और कल निर्मला सीतारमण जी के द्वारा इंटरिम बजट एक प्रकार से ये नारी शक्ति के साक्षात्कार का पर्व है।
It is believed that the country is moving forward and touching new heights of progress. The country is experiencing all-round and inclusive development.
इस बार एक दिशा निर्देशक बातें लेकर के देश की वित्त मंत्री निर्मला जी हम सबके सामने कल अपना बजट पेश करने वाली है। साथियों, मुझे विश्वास है कि देश नित्य प्रगति की नई नई ऊंचाइयों को पार करता हुआ आगे बढ़ रहा है। सर्वस्पर्शी विकास हो रहा है, सर्वांगीण विकास हो रहा है, सर्वसमावेशक विकास हो रहा है। ये यात्रा जनता जनार्दन के आशीर्वाद से निरंतर बनी रहेगी।
Well, this year, the Centre is not going to present the Economic Survey, a document prepared by the Chief Economic Advisor and presented by the Finance Minister in Lok Sabha, typically a day ahead of the Union Budget on February 1st each year. Instead, the Centre has come out with a report on India's journey from the past 10 years, titled Indian Economy, a Review. The report, which also shares glimpses of the outlook for the economy in the coming years. And let's listen what are people's expectations from the interim budget.
Government has given a top priority to the rural development, but there is a gap between the urban development and rural development. Will forthcoming budget will attention on the development of the rural areas also. We hope on all these connected with immediate problems like unemployment problem, rising prices problem, but inequalities problem and farmers' interest and attention on the budget, education and health. All these then priorities as given by the central government in forthcoming budget.
Moving on, elaborating on the Indian government's vision behind Atmanirbhar Bharat, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said that the nation is moving forward at the right pace with which it won't stumble in the times to come. Addressing the special session of Indo-American Chamber of Commerce in New Delhi, he said business and commerce is correlated to the security and defence of the country, terming the connection as deep.
बिजनेस और सिक्योरिटी एक दूसरे से पूरी तरह से कोरिलेटेड हैं, एक दूसरे से पूरी तरह से जुड़ी हुई हैं। यदि किसी देश में बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट मजबूत होगा, यदि किसी भी देश में बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट मजबूत होगा, तो उस देश की सिक्योरिटी भी मजबूत होगी। और यदि किसी देश की सिक्योरिटी मजबूत हो रही है, तो वह उस देश के बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट को भी मजबूत करने में सहायक सिद्ध होगा ही होगा, ऐसा मेरा पक्का विश्वास है।
Rajnath Singh described India and the US as natural partners who must move forward together in both business and strategic sectors amidst the current global geopolitical scenario. India and US are working together in different fields, including defense technology and space. Raksha Mantri said that the nation is moving forward at the right pace, with which it won't stumble in the times to come. He enumerated the decisions taken by the Ministry of Defense to promote self-reliance has helped the country find a place among the top 25 countries which export defense equipment. Rajnath Singh further enumerated that the Russia, Ukraine and Israel-Hamas conflicts have not much impacted the defense sector. And also, India has become a strong country which is capable of securing national interest and giving a befitting reply to anyone who casts an evil eye. And the National Payment Corporation of India is launching UPI Tap and Pay across digital payment providers today. This feature is already live on the Bheem app and Paytm for limited users. NFC-enabled devices can make payments by tapping the device on UPI Smart Tag or Smart QR on the screen. Transactions under 500 rupees can be processed through UPI Lite, while those over 500 rupees will require a UPI PIN. Also, India's digital payment infrastructure is impacting everyone, and other countries are interested in knowing about it. India's External Affairs Minister said this at an event in New Delhi.
You know, I spoke to you about digital public infrastructure. Today, the maximum number of questions I get when I go out in the world, especially when I go to Africa and Asia and Latin America, people want to know, how does that system work? That how do you use Aadhaar? You know, how does your Aadhaar, your telephone, your PAN card, your bank account, how do they get connected? You know, what is this form of governance which you have created?
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu repeated his vow not to pull troops out of Gaza until total victory. Netanyahu in a speech made it clear that Israel will not withdraw from the Gaza Strip or release Palestinian prisoners held in Israel.
I hear saying about all kinds of hostages deals, so I want to clarify. We will not end this war short of achieving all of its objective. That means eliminating Hamas, returning all of our hostages and ensuring that Gaza will no longer pose a threat to Israel. We will not withdraw the IDF from the Gaza Strip, and we will not release thousands of terrorists. None of this will happen. What is going to happen? An absolute victory.
Meanwhile, Hamas said on Tuesday it is studying a new proposal for a ceasefire and release of hostages in Gaza. The ceasefire proposal followed talks in Paris involving intelligence chiefs from Israel, the United States and Egypt with the Prime Minister of Qatar. The proposal involved a three-stage truce during which the group would first release remaining civilians among hostages it captured on October 7th, then soldiers, and finally the bodies of hostages that were killed. During a week-long ceasefire in late November, 105 Israeli and foreign hostages were freed in exchange for 240 Palestinians held in Israeli jails. Israel says over 130 hostages are still being held, although about 24 of those are presumed to be dead. Well, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres convened a meeting with 35 member states in the European Union on Tuesday amid fears of funding shortages. This comes after Israel accused 12 of UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA's Gaza employees, of involvement in the October 7 attacks, causing several countries to suspend their funding for the agency. And UNRWA spokesperson warned that the agency would be unable to sustain operations beyond February without resumed funding. Well, more than 10 countries, including major donor the United States, have suspended their contributions. UNRWA, founded in 1949 to aid Palestinian refugees, employs approximately 13,000 people in Gaza and about 30,000 across the Middle East. And US President Joe Biden has said he has decided how to respond to a drone attack that killed U.S. service members in Jordan, but did not elaborate. Speaking to media persons, Biden, however, asserted that the United States does not need a wider war in the West Asia. Biden has been weighing his options, and the expectation has been that there will be retaliatory strikes, but the timing of the response has been unclear. Reporter asked him if he holds Iran responsible for the deaths of the servicemen, on which Biden responded with affirmation.
I do hold them responsible in the sense that they're supplying the weapons to the people who did it. We'll have that discussion. I don't think we need a wider war in the Middle East. That's not what I'm looking for.
Well, North Korea on Wednesday released still photographs of the state's latest missile test and said it carried out a strategic cruise missile drill on Tuesday. It said the drill made a contribution to checking the Korean People's Army's rapid counter-attack posture and improving its strategic striking capability. It added that the cruise missile was strategic, which typically refers to nuclear-capable weapons. The latest test for the missile, called Hwasal-2, marks the third time Pyongyang has tested cruise missiles in less than a week. And Ukraine and Russia are scheduled to face off at the International Court of Justice in a case in which Ukraine accused Russia of violating an anti-terrorism treaty by funding pro-Russian forces on Wednesday. Kyiv accused Russia of funding pro-Russian forces in eastern Ukraine, including militias involved in shooting down Malaysia Airlines flight MH17, killing all 298 passengers and crew in the case, which was launched in 2017. Ukraine also said Russia breached a UN anti-discrimination treaty by trying to erase the culture of ethnic Tatars and Ukrainians in Crimea. Meanwhile, Russia denies systematic human rights abuses in Ukrainian territory that it occupies. Judgments of the World Court are final and without appeal, but the court has no way to enforce its rulings. And Spanish lawmakers have rejected an amnesty bill due to discrepancies on its scope between the ruling socialist and Catalan separatist parties, in a blow for Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez that illustrates his parliamentary fragility. The bill, rejected by 179 votes to 171, will now return for debate in a parliamentary committee and could be sent back for a fresh vote in the lower house. The amnesty bill is set to define Sanchez's second term and has prompted large protest against it. Last year, in exchange for parliamentary support from two small Catalan separatist parties, Sanchez agreed to put forward the bill, but the Catalans voted against the bill after they failed to reach a last-minute deal with Sanchez's Socialist Workers' Party. And in sports, India defeated New Zealand in under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup Super 6 game by 214 runs on Tuesday. Mushid Khan's second 100 of the tournament guided India to big win. Asked to bat first, India lost an early wicket, but Mushid and Adarsh Singh stitched a good partnership. Mushid scored 131, while Adarsh scored 52 to help India post 295 for 8 in 50 overs. For New Zealand, Mason Clark resisted a 4-wicket haul. In reply, India bowled out New Zealand at a paltry 81 runs. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Well, let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.